Good morning, evening, or afternoon, depending on what side of the pond you're on, and welcome to an extra special edition of Across the Pitch. My name is Phil Kennedy, and I'm joined by Darren Woodhead, who's the author of 50 Years of Accrington Stanley. And today we have an Accrington legend with us who made over 200 appearances with the club between 2001 and 2009. Welcome to the show, Peter Cavanagh. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Thanks for having me, Phil. Thanks for having me, Darren.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on, Peter. I know we've been chasing you a long time and really appreciate it. Looking forward to this chat.
Good.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. And now we're definitely going to focus on your Accrington career today. But before we get to that, we did want to talk a little bit about your early days where you started out at Liverpool, where you became the reserve team captain. So two things that we wanted to talk to you about is one, what were your memories of playing there at Anfield and leading the reserve team? And also knowing that you're an Evertonian, what was it like having to don the red shirt for a while?
Early on, really, really strange. I remember my first couple of training sessions turning up in an Everton kit, and they were pre the days when everyone got given the regular uniforms and training kit, and probably one of the main reasons why a lot of brought it in the end, because there was certainly a lot of different loyalties to different clubs, which probably didn't look too good. And then the other overriding sort of memory would be that I really enjoyed it. I was well looked after. I found it a little bit difficult at the start because my family didn't really drive at the time, so I found it really hard to get there. And when I did get there, I was thinking I was doing okay, but it obviously wasn't there enough. So at the end of the first year I got there, I think I was 10, and I thought that was probably going to be the end of the journey, really. And I ended up getting a nice report. There used to be reports back then, and you got like A's and B's and a comment on the end, and got a fairly positive report. And I thought, he really likes me, actually. Yeah. This is a bit strange. And we managed to come to some arrangements, and there were a couple of other boys who lived near me who could provide some transport. So then it sort of took off then a little bit, and 1 year old into two, and before I knew it, I was being offered terms when I was a schoolboy to go full time when I left school, and it was always everything that I'd wanted to do. And I'm not really sure what I would have done if Everton could have come calling. I certainly think early on, my head would have been swayed by my heart because I was still going to watch Everton regularly as a kid. But the more and more time I spent there, and the more I felt valued, and at that time, I think in my age, we were a lot better than Everton. I probably would have stayed, but I would have liked to have had that opportunity, definitely.
Yes, so you played through a majority of different levels right up into the reserve team at Liverpool, didn't you, Peter? You established yourself in reserve. So what do you think just stopped you going that little bit further?
I went relatively late to the reserves because I had a lot of good players older than me who played my position. There was a lad, Neil Murphy, who played it. He was 2 years older than me, Stephen Gerrard's age group, who played regularly right back for a while and was well liked. Went on to play for Blackpool for a bit, and then there was Al Navarro, who played right back but also played centre midfield, who played for Brighton and Tranmere and Macclesfield, MK Dons. Yeah. So I got my chance sort of towards the end of the third year. And one of my memories of the reserves, probably my best game, was Mark David Ginola at Aston Villa. Played Aston Villa, Villa Park, and he played for the reserves. I always remember him, like at the time, he was coming towards the end, but he's got me in the corner. I'm thinking, what's going to happen here? And he's done about 4 chops back and then slipped over, and I come away with the ball. Thought, I just took the ball off David Ginola. This is great, I've cracked it. And then I got.
He would have been too busy doing his hair, wouldn't he?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But he smelled nice.
I got a regular run in the reserves then towards the end, but I was quite conscious of the fact that I was getting to an age where I'd seen Michael Owen getting the first team, I'd seen Stephen Gerrard, Carragher, them ages where if you're not really, it's not like it wasn't like it is now where 22, it seems like a normal age to make your debut. Back then it was like 19 and 20, otherwise you're sort of on the scrap heap or trying to start again. So I was quite conscious of that and probably thinking to myself, it's never going to happen here for me at Liverpool. Gerard Houllier gone in a different direction with bigger and foreign players, etc. So I was probably thinking around the time, should I leave and try and get to a Tranmere or somewhere at that stage, which seemed to be a journey that a lot of ex-Liverpool or ex-Everton sort of trainees tried to go through. I didn't really make that decision myself. The club made that decision for me, but it was certainly on my mind. And probably what didn't help me at the time was I picked up an injury probably the week after being told that I'd been released, and that sort of messed up my chances to go to the exit trials, which was quite big back then. Used to hold them at Lilleshall, and a lot of all the league clubs would come and watch. And I went. I shouldn't have went because I was injured. I was playing with a strapping on my ankle, and I just muddled through. And I was really surprised that I got any offers on the back of that, really. And a couple of them were non-league. I think Rochdale and Darren might be one, and I think there was a couple of colleges in America which I was given some thought to. And but I would say probably lack of quality in the end would be the right answer, because I don't think I'll probably ever Premier League level, shall we say.
Yeah, obviously it's difficult to break into Premier League clubs, especially with all the foreigners, etc. So how did you find your way to Accrington then? What was the next steps between being released by Liverpool and actually turning up at the Crown Ground as it was?
Well, a school teacher of mine was head of education at Everton, and he'd managed to get me a trial at Old. I think it was a sort of goodwill gesture from Tony Phillips-Giff, I think, at the time. And so I'd gone in, trained a week with the youth team, and then I'd done 2 weeks with the first team. Done quite well, I thought. And then Andy Ritchie said to me, well, there's nothing for you. I've got 2 right backs. I think he had Neil Eardley coming through at the time. And I just felt like I'd wasted 3 weeks, because I'd rather they've just said no to the trial rather than invite me down with no intention. But what it did give me was it kept me fit. And then Stephen Hollis, who was the coach of in the community department at Liverpool, had obviously passed my name on to the gaffer, and he'd rang me and told me, introduced himself, and asked whether I'd be interested in coming and playing any games. And I wasn't really too sure where Accrington were in the football pyramid at that stage. And I loosely had an agent who probably worked in a company in London who probably didn't know who it was, and I rang him and asked his opinion, and he was like, well, do you know harm to go and play some games and keep fit? So that was sort of the proviso that I came. I knew Stephen Hollis, obviously, and I'd said to the gaffer, look, I hope to go back in the league, but I don't see any problem with me coming to keep fit. And so I did. I came, I played the first game. I think after the first game, he probably offered me something, I think, and I found it hard to say no. And then a month turned into, I think, till Christmas, and then till Christmas turned into a year. And then before we knew it, it was 8 years down the line, and the rest is history, as they say.
And then that history, as you say, it brings us to the main part that we want to talk about here on the show, because, of course, on Across the Pitch, we are an Accrington Stanley show, and you came over to Accrington, and one of the biggest things was you became the youngest captain in Accrington history right after you came over. And we definitely wanted to talk about, what was it like when Coley gave you that call to be the captain? Was it kind of based on your experience with the youth teams?
Yeah, I would imagine it was. Obviously, the gaffer wasn't soft. He probably thought it was another way of maybe putting me in the shop window. And back in them days, obviously, Accrington was about getting players in and maybe moving them on and making some money for the club. So that was probably in his mind also. And being a captain, as you say, all the way through the junior levels, probably because I was a bit mouthy and not scared to air my opinion, and in general like to help others around, and I was probably seen as a good egg. But looking back in hindsight, I'm not sure whether anyone else would have took it, because it'd come on the back of a sort of dressing room stuff that you would see every other week up and down the football ladder, and the gaffer and Jay Flannery was the captain at the time, who's a real top fella, a real genuine man as well.
Yeah, we've had Jay on here. He's a really great guy.
The last time I seen Jay, me and Jay travelled to Wally's funeral together, and he was one of my biggest fans there, to be fair. Often telling me that, he thought he should play higher and don't be settling type of thing. And so obviously he had this bust up with the gaffer, and the gaffer had approached me and said, we're going to make you captain type of thing. And I didn't really give it much thought, but just sort of said, well, if anyone else is okay with that, I don't mind doing it. But not really probably seeing that there may have been a little bit of politics in there as well, as regards to Jay being here a long time and some of the older players have been here a long time, so they probably wouldn't have took it. I may be wrong in that, they might have, but I was probably the only one left really after that. So, but he obviously seen something in me that he liked, and I'd like to think that, I showed him that on the pitch as well.
And you went on to become a multiple trophy winner with Stanley. Before we come on to the first promotion season, I just wanted to touch on a cup final game when you played at Morecambe's ground against Barrow. You managed to get yourself sent off in that game, didn't you, Peter?
Yeah.
Sorry for throwing that one in.
Yeah, we had so free presentations and sending off seemed to go together. I think I haven't done another occasion when we were getting a trophy. I got sent off on the day as well. My first thought was obviously, well, if we go back to the game, my memories of the game are that me and the gaffer were actually on our coaching badge at the time, our first one, our UEFA B, of Phil Ackeney, who was the head of the youth for a long time. He was our tutor. So it was based at Liverpool's Academy, and I was just getting into coaching at the time, and obviously the gaffer was formalising his qualifications. So we were on that, and we had to get permission off Phil to leave early. So me, Jimmy, and the gaffer left early. And then the next day we took the trophy in. So we get to Morecambe, and Barrow were our probably big rivals at the time. And I remember thinking, we started quite well, yeah, lovely summer night. I remember getting booked and for something silly, but the left back had a long throw, and I'd stood in front of him, so he couldn't get it into the box. And as he's gone to throw it, to turn my head away from him to not be caught in the face with his follow through, and spat on the back of my neck. And probably the first booking would have been related to a bit of red rag and bull over that one. And then I think the second one was maybe a mistimed tackle, which did tend to happen on occasion. And then my first thought after that was, oh no, what have I done? I've cost us the trophy. So I think I spent a large portion of the second half in my tracksuit up in the main stand at Morecambe's ground, and just thinking, what have I done? And obviously we've seen it across the line, and me thinking, well, I won't be able to lift the trophy because I've been sent off, and that was the sort of thing back then. If you got sent off, then you weren't allowed to come back on the pitch. And I always remember the gaffer saying to me, go down and put your kit back on. So I suppose you could probably say I was the original John Terry, because I was back out there as quick as you, like Superman, in and out. I had my tracksuit on and had the trophy up before anyone else had even blinked.
Yeah, and that's the photograph we've got on the to promote this. We've had on Twitter. So it's a great photograph, but there's obviously a story behind that as well. So no, that was the first of what was going to be many trophies on. One of the main one was the first one was the Unibomb promotion, which was a great season, wasn't it? 2002, 2003. You captained the team. Great start to the season. Yeah,
we just that was one of the things I always felt about my career at Accrington. I always felt like we progressed in some way, whether it was on the pitch winning things or the year after progression off the pitch, like going full time and stuff. But that year when we were in the Unibond, we obviously signed big Mayor Carlo, who come from Alti, and the gaffer probably gets talked about more for his man management and the way he deals with people and players. And I've heard numerous ex-players talk about him that way, but he's also got some tactical nous as well, and I've seen that the way his teams have developed over the years and the way the style of football that they play. And that year in particular, we went to a back five wing back for the first time that I'd properly played it, and the first time that I think he probably played it at Accrington. And we just got off to a flying start. I think he won 12 or something of the first 12, something silly, and the momentum just built up from there. And just like a snowball, it just carried on rolling to the end of the season. And it was a case of when, not if, you got over the line. And I always remember the crowds were fairly big towards the end of that year as well. And for that level, yeah. I remember thinking that's probably the first time when I thought, this is proper footy. This feels like obviously come from an academy background, and like probably this is real football, and it matters to all these people.
And there were packed crowds, and obviously promotion took that into the next season. Well, the following seasons really, in the conference years. Great FA Cup runs. You know, what are your memories of some of them games? They were great days, weren't they? Days out and great days at the Crown.
Yeah, it felt like every couple of weeks we were either on the telly or we were getting a full house in some description, either against a big local rival in the conference or drawing someone in the FA Cup. And my one sort of regret over my career in the FA Cup is that we never really managed to land that big fish while I've been playing there, and it's always been just underneath. You know, I've played at Leeds and at Blackpool for other clubs, but certainly for Accrington, that the memorable run was beating Huddersfield when Gauchi hit that worldie, and just seeing all the limbs behind the goal with no roof on the terrace, and and then obviously the reward for that was getting the Colchester game, or the Bournemouth game, sorry, which I thought we were terrific in. We went down to Bournemouth and we had a game plan. We'd worked on a set piece which came off to perfection for Mullers at the front post. I always remember, I'm not sure if I'm 100% in this, but I'm sure whoever was left back on the day got injured early, because I played left back for a lot of that game. So I would presume whoever was left back come off injured and I switched across. And maybe Paul Howarth came on. I'd have to check on that. And then I always remember J-Mo making an absolutely unbelievable save from a free kick to keep us level. So, you know, we were more than worthy of the draw, and we then had our Christmas party in Bournemouth, which was interesting. Thinking about it now, thinking going out and celebrating a non-league team, probably they weren't too happy. But and then we travelled back. We listened to the draw on the coach, and a few of the big hitters were in a similar 40 bracket as us. And I actually thought for 1 minute that we'd been through against Everton, because I think they were like 43. And obviously the way the announcer sounded, I thought he was going to say like 45 or something. I think the hangover probably kicked in then, though, on the way home. And wishful thinking. We still have to get through the replay, and I remember that being a real misty, cold night. And then we get down to penalties, wasn't it? Yeah, freezing. We get to penalties, it's 0-0. I'm not sure how much of a spectacle it was, but we certainly wanted to get into penalties. And obviously the gaffer pulled his rabbit out of the hat with changing the goalkeepers, which I'm sure put some seed of doubt into some of their penalty takers, seeing John Kennedy come on, and then they miss, and Paul Howard scores the winner, and that was another drunken night, another hangover. So
it's brilliant.
And then again we just miss out on another big draw, and we go to Colchester, and there was a real chance to go to the fourth round. I felt that year, because we missed some chances in the home leg, and I didn't play in the home leg, I was suspended, but I remember watching it from the main stand thinking we may have missed the boat. And when we went down there, it was a tough ask for the part-time conference team to beat that many teams, and especially going to replays all the time. And I think he just caught up us on the end.
Oh no, but I mean, we've probably gone as far as we could, and all the money that had come in, the revenue from Sky, etc., all came in, and they didn't for the push to the Football League. We seemed to be on Sky every other week at that point. I know we weren't, but it felt like it. One thing that everybody's asking me to ask you is about another famous Sky incident against Exeter, a little matter of a tackle. What's your thoughts on that one, Peter?
Well, you know, going back to what you're saying about the tele games and that cup run, that was probably the main reason why we were able to go full time the year after, and then that leads us into being full time and culminates us in the season where we play Exeter on the telly. And I remember the build up more than anything else than the game and the tackle. I always remember it was obviously a big game, and if we won, we were going to go streets ahead of Exeter. But if Exeter won, if they had a game in hand, it might have been close, and we'd been in front for a while, and we may have got a little bit of a wobble. But the gaffer had convinced the chairman to take us to Carden Park for a couple of days training, and then we were going to travel straight to Exeter and play. And it just turned into, we did do some training, but it just turned into this big team bonding. We had a couple of pints. We played golf. We'd done some training, and it was just typical of the gaffer, outside the box. You hear all these stories from years ago of, the Brian Clough doing stuff like this. And it obviously galvanised us because I thought we were terrific on the night. But going back to the tackle, I do remember that I was playing right midfield then, because a few things had happened that season where I'd come up the team and Phil Edwards had got in and done well, and I'd sort of managed to nick a place at right midfield. And as the ball broke, I'm probably thinking, I should be there. The gaffer's going to nail me for that one. And so in my haste to make up the ground, I think I took off from Liverpool and landed in Exeter. But to this day, I will still maintain that there was some part of my foot that touched the ball. And there was only ever one person who supported me on that, and that was Phil Terry, God bless his soul, because he was stood just over by the tunnel on that side. And I think it was more of Chris Todd playing the ball off my studs rather than me playing the ball itself.
Yeah, we'll give you a benefit of the doubt on that, Peter. I bet your old mother won't back you up on that one. But no, it was a momentous occasion. It's still talked about now, and you see it come up on Twitter from time to time. I think one of the questions that was coming later was how many times have you watched it, and how many hits has it had on YouTube? And I think it's 122,000 at the last count, so quite a big occasion.
Yeah, well, I do show from time to time to any unruly kids that I coach, just to say, just be careful. If I join in later, this will could happen to
you. Not the 122,000 streams that you necessarily wanted to get. So you show them, and then you're adding to that streams yourself, so you can still say,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a good job you're known for other things, like picking up a couple of big league titles as well. So it's not just that, fortunately enough. So brings us nicely on to the next promotion. We won the conference, and possibly one of the best team you played in at Stanley, I would have thought. Yeah,
just for the whole package, really. We were all at a good age. We all socialised together. There was times we had a minibus coming from Liverpool, and we had a good mix of players not from Liverpool and players who were ambitious, players who were good eggs, good around the dressing room. And it just all sort of gelled into one. And then obviously we got onto a good run. Obviously bittersweet that year for me personally for what happened outside of football. But once that did happen to me brother, I was 100% sure that we would win the league from that day on. 100%. One in my own mind, but also knowing that the characters that we had and the support of the players that we had in the dressing room, that they would all do everything within their power to make us successful that year for themselves, but also to help me and my family through what we were going through. And I'll be eternally grateful to everyone at the club and also all my teammates for how they responded and treated me during that time.
Yeah, when John Coleman came on the show with us, that was one thing that he really talked about, was that 2005-2006 season, and what a close-knit group it was to begin with. And then you had the tragedy with your family that you spoke of earlier, and like you said, it really was something that just made everybody even closer than they already were. And John Coleman kind of said that, in all of his years of coaching, that 2005-2006 is the most special group that he's ever had.
Yeah, it's just really bizarre. Obviously, stuff like Romy Bocco would just come over, and Romy Bocco, I think I gave him one of my first suits that I ever had, because Romy never had a suit. And Romy's, I think, postman was a goalkeeper. He used to come in and just train with us. That was the type of madcap stuff that we had going on. That was seen as normal. Just one of the local fellas who, I think he was Romy's postman. I can't remember his name. He's actually an all right goalie, to be fair. He used to come in and train every now and again. And it just seemed as all right. And he joined in. He became one of the lads. And
we had Romy on the show about a month and a half ago, and he's just such a character, and has a great personality that the fans just really got behind him, and it's easy to see why he was so great when he came on the show.
But he actually caused a lot of trouble, Romy, when he first come, because his first touch was so good that the gaffer used to just put him on his team in head tennis, and then you couldn't beat them. So then it just we go into training, and then you wouldn't start training until 12 o'clock because they would just beat the gaffer Jimmy and Bocco and whoever else he picked to be on his team would just be beating everyone. So, and then that obviously gets everyone wants to play. Oh, another game. And then before you know it, we need to start training. Some of us have got kids to get home and pick up. So, yeah, but, he was a good player, Bocco, and done really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of the promotion push and some of those other players that did well in that team that eventually got promoted, started the season in the Football League the next year. I'm thinking of Gary Roberts and Ian Craney, then they got big moves, didn't they? So, I mean, they were big players at that time, weren't they, for Stanley?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is probably one of the things that I took out of my time in football, and if I was to become a manager, was that you need characters first and foremost, which they both were, but you need difference makers on the pitch. You can have good lads, good solid players, but you need people who can change a game. And Ian and Gary could both be anonymous for 89 minutes and then just scored an incredible goal or an incredible assist, which turned a lot of games for us. And I remember Ian's last game before he left the year after in the league, and I think he scored from a corner against Peterborough, and I'm sure he was shooting as well, it'll be totally honest. He'd probably tell you the same.
Yeah.
I don't think he was looking to cross to anyone. I think he was actually looking to shoot because he wanted to score so much. He'd be, if anyone who I could recommend, he was the life and soul of the dressing room. He would have some good stories for you, I'm sure.
Okay, so going on into the Football League, Peter, we had a great start to the season. Obviously, Gary and Ian got the moves away, and the season started to peter away a little bit at that point. Eric Worley made the momentous decision to make the admission to the Torquay game free admission, so full crowd, which was very unusual at that time, but people in Accrington must have liked a freebie, so they all came on. Managed to win 1-0, and you popped up with the all-important goal. What's your memories of that one, Peter?
So the first season, obviously, was a novelty to a lot of us. It was our first year in league football, and we were just starting to find our feet. That was the frustrating thing, and obviously a large part of our goals and assists in Ian and Gary left, which left us vulnerable. A couple of injuries along the way. I think I missed a chunk of the season over Christmas, and there was a few others, and it became difficult. And the gaffer and that were really good, really earned their money at that time around keeping spirits up and keeping the boys together. And the crowd had tailed off a bit. They'd been used to seeing winning football and in the conference, and they were dwindling a little bit. And it was quite a bold move from the chairman at the time to make it free. I think he sort of grasped that if we didn't get the 3 points on that day, it might have been difficult to stay up with the games we had left. And so, really good, because it did have an effect on the day. It always does when you've got a vibrant crowd, and it does make you just push you that little bit extra, maybe when you're feeling really tired. And my memories of the game on the day was, it was nip and tuck, and I think the left winger for Torquay had been sent off early in the second half, and which meant I pretty much had a free rein down that side and just able to get forward as much as possible. And I think I did the post not long before with like a cross shot, and but then getting towards the end of the game, you're thinking, how aren't we influencing this game? And it's going to be one of them 0-0s, which you look back on and think that was the day that maybe cost us staying up. And I always remember Sean Worley, who, not saying master of the dark arts, but was really good at winning free kicks. And in training, at times you'd foul him and you'd be panicking thinking you'd hurt him, and he'd just look up and smile, and managed to dribble across the box, and someone had brought him down on the edge of the D, and that was tended to be my little bit of a forte at the time. Anywhere around the D, I fancied my chances, and probably early on in the season that would have been a free kick for Gary or for Ian, but obviously they weren't there at the time. And I remember lining up and thinking, we need to score, and it was probably magnified by Andy Mangan just saying to me just before I was about to set off, you do realise if you don't score that we're all out of a job next year. So I didn't know, I'm not sure what to think there. Really, really good inspiring pep talk there, cheers, Mangs. And it was just around the time where free kicks were starting to be scored in the same place where the goalie was, and he'd often looking to step across behind the wall and make a eye-catching save. And I think it probably bobbled in the end on the floor, but probably my most important goal for Stanley, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just managed to get over the line. There were some big games towards the end, wasn't there? And we were playing Macclesfield, and Procky got a couple of goals. And I think I know there were a couple of loan signings that just seemed to turn things just right at the running, didn't they? Godwin Antwick came in, and David Martin, actually the keeper who played for West Ham last year, didn't he?
Yeah, a couple of things about Dave Martin in the fact that he came and got injured in his first game, and credit to him, he went back to Liverpool with a bad ankle injury, and then came back as soon as he was fit, and was a real top draw goalie, and Godwin just sort of encapsulated what we sort of had in the conference season. He'd come in, this young African boy with sort of okay English but not great English, and was into giving the gaffer stick as well. And for a young boy, I thought he fitted in really well. And I always remember going to Shrewsbury, and we were playing Shrewsbury away, and we trained the day before the game somewhere down by Shrewsbury, which we'd done often. And I think we'd found a field. Obviously, wasn't like a normal training facility. Obviously, being brought up in Africa, he's not really known about nettles or the leaves that sting you over here. So a ball, we're playing like an 11v11, and the ball just breaks off into this sort of grassy area, a few trees, and he charges off in to get the ball. And he obviously had big, massive thighs and legs, real tight foots.
A big lad, wasn't
he? Yeah, and my overriding picture of him is coming out from the trees and just scratching his legs and his thighs, shouting for the physio, "Sus, what's happened to me?" And he'd been stung by all these nettles and he didn't know what to do. And it was just typical of Godwin. But again, he added real pace to our team, which helped us defend at the heart of the pitch. And anyone who did get through, Dave Martin was able to produce the goods for us as well.
Yeah, it worked out well in the end. So you played a couple of seasons then in the Football League, and then something we've got to touch on, disappointing the way you left. I'm sure, you've got your side to things, and maybe you got to treat it a little bit unfairly and put in with some other incidents that were going on at a similar time. And how do you feel about it all now, looking back?
Yeah, it was obviously a real difficult time in my life. I was just, my wife was pregnant at the time, and it was a real upheaval. But certainly wasn't the way I ever envisioned leaving Accrington, which had been a massive part of my life. I definitely feel at the time, without going into major detail on it, that it was a huge witch hunt, and that players of our ilk were made to carry the can for things that were happening maybe higher up the ladder, which the FA were reluctant to clamp down on. And I think we were punished really, really severely, and that would sort of play out if you look at some of the sort of sentences that they've given to players higher up in the Premier League for similar sort of offences. It wasn't a great time, and certainly things like that. I look back now and think, if it hadn't have been for that, I probably could have still been at Stanley now, and we're talking 15 years, probably maybe on the coaching staff. And at the time when Coley left, Liam Richardson was asked to be manager. I would have been longest serving captain at the time. I could have been serving manager of Accrington now. Who knows which way.
Yeah.
But certainly, something that I do regret that time.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you've been back since. You do a bit of media work, and you're still a popular figure around the place, which is nice. And you made your come back then with Fleetwood, didn't you? You dropped down into conference when you came back from your time out. And what was that like, playing for Fleetwood?
Oh, it was a really great time. The way it happened was pretty strange. I think Sos, the physio, had gone to Fleetwood, and Fleetwood making a real push for the Football League, really. And they'd gone to, I think they were in the Unibomb Prep or the Conference North at the time, and I knew Steve McNulty, who went to play for Samia, and a couple of others, Luton, who was playing for them at the time. And
he played for Tranmere and up until last year, I think.
Yeah, so I went to school with him and played for the same junior team as him. So I know him really well, and he managed to speak to the manager and said, would you be interested? So I'd gone down for like 4 or 5 games, because my ban ended sort of like 5 or 6 games before the end of that season, before they came back. So it's sort of signed for them then, with the proviso that if they go up, I would probably look to sign again. And so I did. And, I'd come out of, obviously, my troubles at Accrington with, a big legal bill, a big fine to pay. And that was probably one of my thoughts on going there, as regards to that. My reputation would probably be damaged a bit, but I needed to take the best deal I could to try and, get straight, if you like. And it just transpired into probably one really, really good year, because the first year I found really difficult. Like, I'd been out for a long-term injury. They had a good right back in Sean Bailey, who was a good player. And I struggled I was sort of in and out the squad and in and out the team. The first year was difficult, but I managed to play enough games to trigger a second year. And the second year, towards the end of the first year, I'd had a few little goals in centre midfield, which I quite liked, and I played as a junior, but I'd gone back to right back. And I'd always had a little flirt with it now and again with Accrington as well. And so in the second season, we'd obviously signed Jamie Vardy, and I'd managed to get in the team early, but then got injured. And I'd come back around the November, December, and we played a trial game, a reserve game against Accrington, which I was really poor in, and thought to myself, I'm not going to play for Fleetwood again. And went to go and see the manager and said, look, I think I'm at an age now where I need to be playing, and I'm not going to play here. And he agreed. So as far as I was concerned, I was leaving Fleetwood. They played in the FA Trophy against Northwich and lost with a fairly youngish team. And then I reported for the game on Sunday. It was the FA Cup replay away at Yeovil. And I thought I was there just to be in the team that makes the numbers against the team that's going to start. And I was in the team. I thought, this is a bit strange. And then obviously realised that Jamie Milligan, who was a top player for Fleetwood over the years, was injured. So I was sort of going as cover, and he had a fitness test on the day of the game, and as fate would have it, he failed it. And I played against Yeovil, and I done really well, and we won, knocked Yeovil out the FA Cup. We'd travelled to Woking on the midweek. We won again. And then we played Newport away on the Saturday, and we won 1-0, and I scored the winner. So in the space of 7 days, I probably changed the course of my Fleetwood career. And then from then on, I stayed in, and we went on a terrific run to the end of the season. We had a ding-dong with Wrexham. I think Wrexham got about 90-odd points and didn't go up. But a large proportion of that time and that success will be put down to Jamie Vardy's goals, and quite rightly so.
Yeah. Did you see that coming with Jamie Vardy at the time, Peter? Could you tell that he was a cut above the rest? Obviously, you probably want to know that he was going to go on to play for England, but could you see him playing top level? With my coaching hat on, I actually thought he was something different. I did. I thought this boy's got something. His personality and his demeanour, I could see in the dressing room, which I thought was great. Would fit in any dressing room. He was blessed with blinding pace, trained every day, could score a number of different types of goals, was aggressive, had that sort of will to win. So tick loads of boxes. And I often remember speaking to Everton friends of mine saying, Andy Johnson at the time, I think, may have been playing for Everton, or not long left Everton, who'd been quite successful for Everton in scoring goals and winning penalties because he was so quick, and you get in front of you, you just nudge him and it was a penalty. And Jamie Vardy reminded me of him, but of someone who could finish better. So I often thought, I wonder how he would do higher up, and I was no surprise that when he got his Leicester move, because he could have had the chance to go to Southampton in the January, which the club turned down. And my only surprise was how long it took him to get going, because the first year he took at Leicester, he didn't really fire, and I think he found it difficult with some of the other big characters that were there at the time, the Beckfords, etc. And once they left, that second season he became the main man and scored loads of goals, and I think he's done okay since, hasn't he? Yeah, not too bad. Had a decent career. So your next move then from Fleetwood was Rochdale, a link up back with John and Jimmy. How did that come about then? Again,
another strange time in my Fleetwood career, because I'd come to the end of the season, and we're having the reviews to the manager, as happens in every club, and I've gone and sat down at the training ground, and he's saying things to me like, you've been our most influential player outside of Jamie Vardy. And I'm thinking, well, happy days here. I'm in for a decent length of contract and probably going to get a decent rise as well. And he said, so, go and see the chief executive and get yourself sorted out. because obviously the manager wasn't taking care of the financial terms. He was just informing me of his decision. So obviously goes down to see the chief executive, and he offered me something which equated to a pay cut. And I was like, I can't quite work this out. This is a bit strange. We've been promoted. Manager's telling me I've done really well, but I'm on less money. That doesn't really sort of work. I'd spoke to the gaffer and he'd had a conversation with me, and I'd not really said no, but not really said yeah, because I seen that Fleetwood potentially could go up again straight away because they had financial backing at the time. And so I tried my best to make it work at Fleetwood, and in the end, it became down to principle. And I'd give the gaffer my word then that I was going to leave. I spoke to Fleetwood and said, look, if this is wrong the way you've done it, and on that proviso, I'm going to go and sign for Rochdale. So that's how the move came about, really.
Eventually, John and Jimmy, they left Rochdale. They got the sack, didn't they? Then Keith Hill came back, I believe, at that point, and that's when you managed to get promotion, didn't you? The following season.
Yeah, I felt really sorry for the gaffer and Jimmy at the time, because it was just starting to come together. I thought they found it difficult. I don't think the fans ever really took to him, and at the start it had a knock-on effect for me. I think the gaffer had gone in there, and sort of Gary Jones, who was their version of Steven Gerrard, had been there for years, scored loads of goals, captain, but he was getting on. He moved him on. I had come in the year after, and he made me captain. I think the fans seen that I'd replaced Gary, which I don't really think was the case. We played in different positions. He was an attacking midfielder. I was obviously a defensive midfielder at the time. And I think I was seen as an extension of sort of that to the fans. So any sort of mistake was magnified, and I felt I was doing okay at the time. But obviously, if the gaffer made a sub and brought off a different midfielder, they weren't happy. So when he left, coincidentally, I thought it was at the wrong time, but obviously Keith Hill became available, and it was a manager who'd done well for us in the past. When he came in, it actually had a galvanising effect for me, because he continued to pick me, and I wasn't playing any differently, but just the perception, because he was picking me and not the gaffer, was deemed I was a good player, which was balmy, which is absolutely balmy. But that first year we done okay. Again, I'd had another year on my contract, and then the second year they gave Keith a bit more money than probably what the gaffer had, and he brought some good players in. But we didn't get. It wasn't all rosy at the start, and I got injured in the first game against Scott Hogan. Was playing up front, who had an unbelievable season, very similar to Jamie Vardy. Come from non-league and was quick, scored loads of goals. I think we'd be Hartlepool or something on the first day of the season. And I felt my Achilles after it, and we played Burton Albion away. And I tried to control the ball. I was struggling to get around the pitch, but tried to control the ball up the air and didn't realise there was a player behind me. And as I've controlled it, my foot ended up going into his stomach, and I got sent off. And the club appealed it, but didn't get anywhere. But it's probably the best sending off I've ever had, because they managed to look into my Achilles at the time, and it turned out it had a little tiny tear in it, where I think if I'd continued to play and it went fully at that stage in my career, probably would have been curtains a bit earlier. But so in the meantime, the club were not doing great. Gary Dickard had come in, and a couple of other midfielders, and we'd win a couple, we'd lose a couple, and I was coming back to get fit around November, and I had a real sort of problem convincing the manager that I could be a service to him. And I remember I wasn't one to rock the boat, but I remember we had a game against Northampton on Boxing Day, and John Joe O'Toole was scoring a lot of goals for them at the time, and the manager pulled me and told me I might play. He pulled me and said I might play you on Saturday, but I haven't decided yet. I might play another kid called Jamie Allen. So I was like, okay, what does that mean for me? Don't really know what you want me to say. I'm not going to sit here and beg you to play. Yeah, but if you're looking to play me in the position that I think you're playing me, then you should play me. Of course you should, because I'm the best person suited in this squad for what you want. So then I walked out the room thinking that was a weird meeting. And then the next day he pulled me and was like, yeah, I'm going to play you. I enjoyed that chat, but you won't be captain. And I was like, what? It's a bit strange, because if you think you're captain, then you'll think you should play the game after. and that might not necessarily be the case. And I was like, well, I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, no, I don't agree with you, because if I'm club captain, then when I play, I should be captain. Otherwise, strip me of the captaincy, full stop. I said, that's the way I look at it. So he had a thought, and he sort of relented on that, and I was captain. And I remember thinking to myself, I want to play well this game, just to sort of rub it in his eye. And so we did. We won 3-0, and I'm quite similar to the Fleetwood sort of scenario. We'd been conceding goals, and I'd come in to play defensive midfield, and we went on a mad run of not conceding goals for like 13, 14 hours or something. And a lot of the fans attributed it to me coming back in the team, and it did have an effect, but you know, there was also saved penalties and all sorts. And that sort of galvanised my Rochdale career again, and we got to the end of the year and we got promoted, and I was thinking, this is great. We had a good set of old players who coincidentally the manager then gave an extra year's contract to, and then he released me, which was a bit of a shock, to be honest with you. And to this day, I still don't really understand his football reasons behind it. I still think maybe he thought I wasn't his player because he never brought me to the club, which is fine.
Yeah, and it does happen a lot, that doesn't it, in football, really?
Yeah, I can work for him. So, you know, I was waiting about it. You know, as I said, the person in the past that he felt he let me go a year too soon in hindsight, which was all well and good, but I wasn't really worried at the time because I thought I'd had a good year. I'll pick up another club. And it wasn't as easy as that. So then I ended up going to play for Altrincham and getting back into the coaching. So I should probably say fate in a way has pushed me back into the coaching side as well.
Now you went to Altrincham for a year, and then one thing that caught my eye is that after that you went to Southport in 2015 as a player coach, and I noticed that the manager of Southport at that time has actually been on the show and is a friend of ours now. That's Paul Carton, who he's now over at Warrington Town, but so you were player coach under Paul Carton for a short time in 2015. What was that like working with him?
Well, that's a really sort of strange story because I'd had a year at Altrincham, and then I spoke to Cardi, and Cardi had offered me that role around player coach. I thought, well, that's, you know, pretty interesting. I wouldn't mind getting into that. Alongside playing for Altrincham, I'd started coaching again for Liverpool's Academy with the under 11s, and I thought, you know, that role could potentially become full time at some stage. So I was happy to keep on playing part time, and I thought the player coach role at Southport would be perfect alongside it. And as I'd having numerous conversations with Cardi, we were talking about players, and I was keeping fit during the summer, and I was on the phone to him regular. And I was going to do a coaching camp for Jamie Carragher soccer schools in Norway. And I always remember I was going through the airport in Manchester, and I got a phone call from someone at Everton asking me whether I would be willing to have a chat about a full-time job there. So I was like, well, yeah, of course I'd love to have the chat. So obviously I spoke to them, and they'd sent me over sort of what the offer would be. And it equated to more money than what I was on doing, both part-time jobs. And it was a full-time role, which I'd be looking for. But I'd always sort of played at Liverpool and coached at Liverpool. So at that time, my preference probably would have been to have stayed at Liverpool because it was what I knew. So I rang Alex Inglethorpe and just had a real honest chat with him on the phone just to say, I'm happy to play for Southport and to get involved with the coaching there. Is there any way in the next 12 months that you see the role I'm doing at Liverpool now part-time becoming full-time? Because if it is, then it was probably something I'd be prepared to wait for. But if it isn't in the future, in the pipeline, then this job at Everton's probably too good to turn down. And he was really honest. He was like, you know, it'll give you a good chance to practice your craft and stuff. And who knows, in the future, you know, there may be avenues back here, but I can't give you that answer. I decided, you know, after speaking to the family, that it was probably the best thing to do and retire myself rather than let a coach retire me. So I made the decision to take the coaching job, and that was a really difficult phone call to ring Cardi and say, look, it's not going to work, this chance not going to happen. So I didn't actually get to play for Southport, and I come back from that trip and started at Everton pretty much straight away.
And so now you're at the Everton Academy and been there ever since. So if you wanted to just kind of touch on that as a short time, and then we have some very fun questions that we're going to wrap up with.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Everton's been great. Like we mentioned at the start, I'm an Evertonian, but I've probably been softened over the years because of my sort of affiliation to Liverpool with being a player and a coach there. So I wouldn't be classed as one of them bitter Evertonians who Liverpool fans like to say. But certainly being back at the club and now go to games again, it's starting to come back a little bit. It's that sort of ill feeling to Liverpool starting to come back a bit. And I get to go to games again, which is great. I go with my little boy. I get him to work with really talented young footballers and play a really, really small part in their development. And if I had to see any of them play for Everton's first team, it'd be really gratifying for someone who's an Evertonian as well.
All right, and then we're going to finish up with what has become a very popular segment on our show. Tony Robinson, who's one of our other co-hosts, actually came up with this segment, and it's called Rapid Fire. And it started out with just some fun kind of North England versus South England questions, and the list has gotten a little bit longer. So are you ready for the rapid fire round, Peter?
Oh, absolutely. Fire away.
All right. The first question on Tony's list is mushy peas versus garden peas.
Oh, I'm a neither man. I've never been a pea fan. Take beans for me all day.
I'm with you on that. Red sauce or brown sauce on your bacon buddy?
Has to be brown on bacon. I don't mind red sauce, but if it's bacon, they just go together, don't they?
Yeah, I think that they do. The Beatles or the Rolling Stones?
Coming from Liverpool, it has to be the Beatles.
That has to be the Beatles wherever you're from, I think.
Yeah, probably fair, yeah.
And then East Enders or Coronation Street?
I don't get a lot of time to watch any soaps anymore. We're working in the job I do now with. It often finishes after the soaps. But back in the day, I was more of an East Ender. I like Grant and Phil. They were, the Gaffer and Jimmy, weren't they? Grant and Phil.
Yeah. I'll have to get you a picture of them two characters, Phil, from EastEnders, and compare them to John and Jimmy. You'll see what Peter mean with the likeness.
All right, and then this is kind of the newer generation of the Beatles versus the Rolling Stones question: Oasis or Blur?
Oh, Oasis all day. No competition
there. I agree. Blur kind of has that one woo-hoo song, and that's about it. Okay, and then Tony, he is originally from Accrington, but now he lives in Toronto, Canada. Their signature dish is called poutine. Chips, gravy, and cheese curds. Is this something you'd like to try?
Oh, that sounds more like a bush tucker challenge there, off in the jungle. I think it sounds like something that you maybe spew up after 7 pints.
Yeah, I'll give that. I give that one a miss as well.
Definitely gotta wash that down with a pint if you're gonna have that. But here in Phoenix, Arizona, where I'm at, we like hot and spicy foods, and we put jalapeno peppers on our pizza. Is that something that you'd like to try?
Yeah, that's a goal for me. Spicier the better.
Oh, yeah, that's what we're talking about. And I know Darren is a jalapeno fan, too.
Defo.
All right, and then we're going to finish up the rapid fire round with 2 questions about TV. One is the documentaries Sunderland Till I Die or The Last Dance. Which one would you rather watch?
Oh, that's a really tough question, that. The Last Dance has been a great watch. It really has. I'm going to say The Last Dance just because it's so current, and just getting a look at what goes on in such a high-performance dressing room was unbelievable to watch. Now, I'm not sure how much of it is true with some of the stuff that's coming out of some of his former teammates, but it was so good to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of them is kind of the pinnacle of success, where the other one is kind of the pinnacle of unsuccess, if you will. So it's two different ends of the spectrum. Yeah, they're both great shows, but The Last Dance, I mean, that was something where being an American and I was in high school with the Bulls were winning their championships. I kind of grew up with that. So, kind of looking back at it 25 years later, it was a real treat for me. But, you can't go wrong either way, like you said. All right. And then the last one here, it's not really TV. I guess it's more of a movie question, is Star Trek or Star Wars?
Oh, I'm a Star Wars fan, me. I think some of their films are really good.
Yeah, I really like Star Wars. Never really got into Star Trek. And then we've been asking all of our Star Wars fans, better football manager, Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi?
It's got to be Yoda, hasn't it? He's talking such wisdom. And you might not actually understand everything he says, but you know that he knows the answer at the end anyway.
Yeah, I bet they don't ask you this down at the academy, do they, Peter?
Absolutely not.
Well, Peter, we've really enjoyed having you on the show today, and we really appreciate you taking the time with us, and thank you so much for coming on with us today. And Darren, did you have anything else before we wrap up?
No, I just wanted to say thanks to Peter for coming on. We finally got him on. We've been wanting to do it for quite some time, and there's been a few mishaps along the way, but we've got there in the end. And thanks for Peter for his patience and for coming on with us. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate your time with us today. And we always finish up with an on Stanley on.
Do we? Yeah.
Cheers. On Stanley on.
On Stanley on, yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Keep up the good work. To that, fellas.